at the edges of my mind like something alive, like a rat scurrying behind the walls. It starts as a flicker, a flash of color, a jarring laugh, that eerie music I can't place. And then it's there, Cove, the show I'd sit cross-legged for as a kid, glued to the screen, with the unblinking focus only a child can have. But now, looking back, I wish I hadn't given it so much attention. Because something about Cove wasn't right. It wasn't just the offbeat animation or the scratchy, discordant music. It was the characters. Pirate Percy, who always looked like someone had cobbled him together from broken toys, his porcelain face cracked and mismatched with his puppet body. The laughingstock, the pirate ship with a grinning mouth carved into its bow, like it was swallowing the sea. And worst of all, the skin taker. Even now, I feel a shiver when I think of him. A skeleton marionette with a tattered top hat and a patchwork cloak. His jaw didn't open and close like the others. It slid back and forth with a grinding sound that made my skin crawl. "Why does your mouth move like that?" the little girl in the show once asked. I'll never forget how the skin taker turned, not to her, but to the camera, staring straight at me as he answered, "To grind your skin." I told myself it was just a kid's show, but it wasn't, was it? Not really. I didn't remember much of Cove for years. It was like a foggy memory of a dream you can't quite recall. But then, one night, I stumbled across an online forum thread where others were talking about the show. At first, I thought it was a joke, maybe an elaborate prank. But as I read on, the details came rushing back, clearer than they'd been in decades. "Do you remember the laughingstock?" someone asked. Its face would shift between a wooden model and a foam puppet, and it would say, "You have to go inside." My stomach turned. I remembered that. The way the camera would zoom in on the ship's crooked eyes and flopping jaw, repeating those words. "You have to go inside." It said it to Pirate Percy, forcing him into caves and dark rooms where treasure waited. Except it wasn't treasure, was it? Do you remember the screaming episode? Another poster wrote, "The screaming episode. Oh, God, it wasn't a dream." For years, I'd thought it was a nightmare that had left me waking up drenched in sweat. But no, they remembered it too. The opening jingle fading out, the screen cutting to black, and then a chaos. The puppets and marionettes flailing wildly, their mouths open, their eyes rolling as they screamed. Janice, the little girl, wasn't acting. She was crying, shaking like she was trapped in her own personal hell. The skin taker's jaw unhinged, gnashing violently as he howled. I turned it off that day, and I never watched Cove again. But the damage was done. The worst part wasn't even what I remembered. It was what my mom told me years later. Candle Cove, she said when I brought it up, her brow furrowing. You used to sit in front of the TV and talk about that show all the time. Said you were watching pirates. Yeah, I said. It was my favorite. Remember? Her face went pale. Honey, there was nothing on the screen, just static. You'd sit there, staring at it, smiling like you were watching something. I wish I could tell you I don't think about Candle Cove anymore, but that would be a lie. The memory comes back, most often at night, and when it does, I swear I can feel the skin taker's gaze still on me, his glassy eyes staring from somewhere in the darkness, and his grin still grinding.